Hey, what's up YouTube? Goratha here. So I thought today I would talk about my build and how it went on League Start. This is going to be a day 1 and 2 update. I was going to make an update yesterday, but I was just playing the game so much I didn't get around to it. But I don't want to leave you guys hanging, so I'm going to make a video today and talk about everything I've learned and what I'm farming, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. So day 1, let's start at the beginning. The campaign. I was using Firestorm to level. I switched right at level 31 to Archmage and Firestorm Archmage. I would recommend you wait until you get your first lab. It felt a little weird when I didn't have Divine Guidance, but I would that plus Minor Matter and switch to Archmage. It was really, really strong. Firestorm hits like a truck. And it was really tanky early on. I feel like it's pretty hard to die in the campaign if you're playing Archmage. With the new Archmage at least. Now, like I said before in the initial video, you're going for as much reduced mana cost early on as possible. I'm not really going to go over that stuff right now. But you can look at the POB. I'm going to link the POB in the description if you didn't look at that video. I put in my current league POB, like my current character on the current league. It has all my gear. Put a full set in there for that as well. I guess I'll take a look at that. But yeah, Firestorm Archmage was insane in the campaign. We did run into our first problem here though. When I was going to Merc Lab and farming my Icenova, I realized it's actually a lot harder than expected. And a lot of people in my chat also have had a lot of issues farming it. With that in mind, I would recommend actually the farming currency or maps with Firestorm and going for Uberlab. Uberlab is a lot easier to farm it in, and I think Firestorm Archmage can easily do Uberlab farming. Honestly, you could even play Firestorm the entire game if you wanted to, if you really enjoy it. Firestorm Archmage kind of popped off, honestly. I didn't really POB it, but I imagine it would be completely fine if you did want to go that route. What other changes I have this league? I actually did opt to go Evasion over Armor. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. Some that I knew beforehand, and some I didn't know beforehand. The first thing is, it's easier to gear with the Evasion ES early on for suppression, for chest coloring. And this League mechanic doesn't really drop any currency, so it's going to be a lot harder to color with chromes and jewelers. But that's not the main reason. The main reason I decided the Evasion would be better is this League has a lot of Fizz extra. Fizz damage is extra is really bad for armor. You don't really mitigate it. But Evasion deals with this naturally by just not getting hit. And Evasion also deals with stuns easier. You can't get stunned if you don't get hit, so Evasion is just really nice for that. With the stun in mind, I actually grabbed the ES mastery as well, for 50% ES added to threshold. The passive tree is mostly the same. I have not dropped Instinct yet. This is mostly just a gear thing. I don't really have any suppression on my boots, and my gloves aren't very good. And I'm missing suppression on my shield, for example. Thrill Killer. I am actually spec'd into Thrill Killer. This is part of the reason why I decided not to go armor. I could drop these armor nodes. I have Thrill Killer instead, and I have the ES mastery we talked about a second ago. Thrill Killer is pretty nice for mapping. Mana on Kill is really nice because I am actually automating my Arcane Cloak. I know I said before the league that automating Arcane Cloak was bad, but I did opt to automating it just because I'm lazy. That's really the only reason. It has 100% uptime. Like, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, you still should keep an eye on it. And for hard bosses, I would for sure recommend manually casting it. But for mapping, it just felt way too good to just put it on and, like, forget about it. With that in mind, I did actually continuously forget about it. So you have to actually turn it on. And if you change your gear around, make sure you turn it back on. It has its own toggle. That's what I'm doing with Arcane Cloak. The tree is mostly unchanged after that. It's mostly those couple changes, like no armor nodes and Thrill Killer. And like I said, the instinct stuff. Tree is mostly unchanged after that. The gear. So I am actually using Velocco's Sign. This wasn't really in like plan before the league. I was planning on getting the Leech Glove Implicit, which I haven't gotten yet. Once I get that, I'll replace the ring. The ring is really good early on though. You do get the Life Leech earlier because you can get this early. This gives you Life Leech against shocked enemies. And this gives you shock chance too, which is actually pretty significant. We don't really shock that much naturally because we're not crit. So shock is good. It also has some mana and like damage on it. So it's pretty good overall. Would recommend getting one of these if you can. They're pretty cheap and common. Barracks Grip would also work. It has damage against shock as well. I think this one's slightly better though. Barracks is like a little bit of life, but it has like flat lightning instead of percent. And the other one has mana. I think Blockers is better. They're both pretty common, and you can get them pretty early on. I'd recommend getting that ASAP. And then, of course, I have the Mind Spiral. The gear is pretty much the same. I had issues getting careful planning. I would recommend just corrupting every single Viridian Jewel you get. This is how we get This is how we get our dexterity for evasion here, because you do need some dexterity to run Grace, which I am running Grace over Determination with a setup. And you can see my Grace is all 19 because I didn't have careful planning early enough, so I couldn't level it all the way. Yeah, dexterity is pretty important. I also managed to get some dexterity on my neck. My gear is mostly Rog crafted. Rog or Syndicate. That was my plan before the league, and that's where my gear came from. My weapon did actually come from the league mechanic, and I think the league mechanic is actually okay at making weapons. I probably will start trying to make weapons with the league mechanic a bit more. After testing around with it, I am a little disappointed in the league mechanic right now, to be honest. I think it requires a lot of trading and a lot of like really big crafts to be useful. And it's really bad for things like suppression gear. So it has some issues, but I think it is okay at making weapons, probably. But yeah, my helmet. I actually traded for the helmet. I am playing Trade League, so I bought the helmet. That's one of the only pieces I did buy. I got the Sadist Guard from Syndicate. I got the gloves from Syndicate, or I think I maybe just ID'd them. Same with the boots. The neck is from Rog. The ring is from Syndicate. The belt is from Syndicate. You can see I just have a bunch of unveiled mods on these pieces. This is mostly just dropped gear from Syndicate. Early on, Rog and Syndicate is king. I was farming a lot of Sanctum as well on this character. I got like a bunch of divines from it. It's pretty decent on this character, I think. This character does a lot of damage, and we chill monsters. So it's pretty good at Sanctum. You still have to obviously play well. And you do have to stand still to do damage. So it's probably not the best Sanctum build ever, but I would say it's pretty good. Above average for Sanctum. Definitely not a bad Sanctum build. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to talk about. I do want to quickly mention at the very end, though, self-cast versus Arcanist Friend. I am actually self-casting during mapping now, because I have so much cast speed, it feels good now. When I was testing in Standard, I had no cast speed, and it felt really bad. But I have cast speed on my weapon, I have cast speed on my neck, I have a lot of cast speed on gear, I have cast speed on my flask, and I'm using a silver flask. With all this up, it actually feels pretty good to self-cast. Arcanist Friend is a lot better single target, still. But for mapping, you can try them out, see which one you enjoy. A lot of people also using Katava's Thirst for mapping. This gives you the automated Frostbolt. Not a big fan of Katava's Thirst. This helmet is bad, but it makes your mapping quality of life a lot higher. I would try it out. If you don't like the mapping, try this out before you switch to a different build. This could fix it for you. Personally, not a fan, but that is an option. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. I will probably make a couple more updates. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you guys have a good league.